Priya, how does it change? So I think the things that we touched on, are you eating enough, drinking enough, sleeping enough, etc., especially early on is so important. Let's like fast forward 2, 3 months back at work, kind of into the grind. Are the signs the same or do they shift a little? Or how would a woman know, this is going to turn into a problem? I am kind of struggling, like early signs. Like I'm trying to think, okay, how can we be proactive? What starts to show up before they crash and then really need you?
Yeah, part of it is have they been able to do any sort of mental, emotional, physical preparation for the return to work? We're not light switches. Our bodies don't just flip a switch and we're good to go, right? So
Right.
have you done some of the preparation? Are you oriented to what your day will look like? And have you kind of even visualized, okay, if I'm pumping, what will that look like? If I need to take a break to FaceTime with my baby for a second. Like, what will that look like? Have I had those conversations? So, a huge part of what I do, in addition to the internal work, is how do you set the stage for those that you are returning to at work so that they can support you? Because that benefits them, right? If not
Love
in any other way, the bottom line
love
often,
that.
right? They
Yes.
they benefit from you thriving. So, how do you have those conversations, not from a deficit like, oh, please, over here, do you mind if I pump? But instead say, like, here are my rhythms of the day in order for me to succeed. I'd like to know what the plan is in terms of a dedicated area for pumping, right? So I help moms to get that language together, to do it in a way that brings people in to support them.
And
And the
empowers
other,
them. That's a real empowering
absolutely.
way to say those things. I love.
Absolutely. Because even really like C-suite execs that I've worked with, even they can feel like, oh, people are accommodating me.
Yeah.
And we really have to flip that script of, no, most of colleagues, at least let's say male colleagues, they have kids as well. So somebody is accommodating them as well. It just happens to be that that person isn't also in the workplace, right? So everybody has somebody who's supporting them if you bring a child into this world. We cannot be all things to all people at all times. So once they've had those conversations, then I do the exact same check-in. Okay, so you felt like you had time to pump. Did you also have time to eat? Can't
Hmm.
tell you how many people said, I felt like I had to choose between one or the other. If
Uh,
I'm getting an extra break to pump, or if I have to use the restroom more frequently, right, early on, then I really have to sit at my desk and eat, and then I get distracted, and maybe I had 3 bites of my salad, whatever it was.
mhm.
And it really it hurts my heart because then they also end up feeling like they're not doing a good job at work, right? It's also interconnected.
Right.
Most of us that are career oriented and family oriented, we're trying to live an integrated life, right? Where you don't just take off one hat and put on another hat. And
Right.
so we want to feel like we are setting ourselves up for success in all of these areas. And so, yeah, I'd go back to really what preparation has happened. If it hasn't happened, let's do that. Let's do the internal and external preparation. And then let's start with making sure routinely you're eating, drinking water, moving your body, and that when you need a break, because you may need a break, you've actually been working the whole time you were on postpartum leave as well, if you get it. You've been working that whole time, then you need to make space for rest during your workday as well.
Those are that it seems so simple, right? It's not in real life, but it seems so simple. Can you eat? Can you rest? Can you take care of yourself, drink enough? It's really the basics. And that sounds like that's what kind of goes off the wire first, or off the rails first.
Mhm.
Um,
Our own wellness feels so unimportant. And
yeah.
so many moms are really trying to prove themselves when they get back to work. And so they're really exceeding expectations in order to feel like they're succeeding and their colleagues aren't in that same spot, right? Unless there's another mom returning to work, they're really not in that same spot. And the ease in which they see other people navigating things really emotionally can bring them down as well. Like, if it's easy for everyone else, how come it's not easy for me? So in addition to that, kind of practical check-in, there's the emotional check-in that needs to happen. For some moms, myself, I felt really um, great, right, about returning to work and having some time away from my baby who I love. But part of my self-love was having this other space, right, to fuel me. For other moms, it might be really hard. And
Right.
there's not one right way to emotionally respond to that transition. And so giving yourself some space, maybe you might have a little feeling of grief, like, oh, that has ended and now I'm here. And having an outlet for that, whether it is your partner, whether it's in a coaching session with me, whether it's a journal, like having those supports in place and using them routinely.
I think that's such a great point because I know, like, I see many postpartum moms, and I will see them through the transition of their healing after birth. They return to work, and then the next visit I might see them after they've gone to work, they'll tell me what the fallout was, but nowhere in there, and I'm going to change what I do with them. Nowhere in there was there necessarily a plan of, and these are people that may or may not be high achieving moms. It just could be a job that it's not like a C-suite type job necessarily, or they could be, but I'm talking kind of across the board. My experience has been, let's just see what happens. And then coming back and saying, here's what did not work well, or, oh my gosh, I was so crushed to not be with my baby all day. And there was no preparation ahead of time. So
I do think a huge barrier is like the spotlight of the fear of the spotlight. And this may also happen, right, with body challenges that people are having, but they don't want to say, bring attention to the fact that they're a new mom, despite that being necessary, right, to receive the support that they think that they really need. They would
yeah,
rather wait and be really reactive because they have a history of figuring things out in a workspace before.
right.
And they really, I tell my coaching clients, you have to honor that you are Angela 2.0 now. There's no going back, and that's okay. You can grieve the part of being in a workplace and it was much easier to figuring out what you needed. You're allowed space for that emotionally. But also, you have to embrace the amazing space you're in now and the strengths that you bring as Angela 2.0 and unapologetically ask for what you need, advocate for what you need. And if you're actually in a really a leadership position, kind of demand what you need. We can do it in a professional, respectful way, but
Right.
not doing you a favor. You are enhancing their team by coming back to work. You are enhancing that organization. So you are letting them know, you're informing them of what you need and hearing how they're going to support you in that transition.
I love that. Again, I think you word things so well. I love it that it's 2.0 because 2.0 implies better, right? Different, but better and improved. And I will say from the physical that side of things, for sure, if you've had a baby and now you're struggling with things like, maybe you have some pelvic pain or pain from scarring, or you have to rush to get to the bathroom, that changes how you present yourself in your workplace. It changes. People can see me running to the bathroom, for instance, right? So if they take action to actually help those issues so that they can get back to that 2.0 version of themselves, not the 1.0 before they had a baby, because I think some people want to go all the way back. But the fact is, it is this transition that we do when we have kids. And I love 2.0 because that really implies such a better version of ourselves.
Yes, change doesn't have to be scary or bad. Um,
Right.
we can really embrace it. And I think this is true just with aging too, right? Not even just
Oh,
in this
great point. Yes.
period, but I am now a mother of four, and it's been a bit since I had my first baby, almost a decade now. And the way that I'm able to advocate for what I need in all spaces, like what the things and strategies that I work with moms are, they're meant to be used throughout your life. It's just that there's nothing in life like this particular change that mothers experience. And so we can feel lost. And the strategies ground us. They help us to realize, oh, this is what I actually need to do. even as circumstances or kids grow. Like things will change, but I can still come home to these kinds of strategies. And a huge one I connect with and I work with all my moms with is like, what are the actual values that you would like to be the foundation of what you teach your kids? Because in a pinch, would you teach your kiddo to not go to the bathroom when they need to go to the restroom because they don't want to look a certain way? Or would you say to them, hey, you're allowed to do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself? And if people are giving you a hard time, here's how you can stand up for yourself, for example, right? So if we really go back to what you would advise your child to do or teach them, then you just got to start practicing what you're preaching. And how do you do that for yourself? But it doesn't come naturally for a lot of moms.
I love that reframing because it's always easier to figure out what would you do for somebody else because again, I think that's our nature.
Hmm.
But so to reframe it like what would you tell your child, I think is a really helpful tip and
Yeah.
strategy.